Welcome back. It's still Newsweek, and we're discussing the issues that made headlines during the week. Now, more than 48 hours after an ultimatum issued to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Company Limited, and all marketers by the Department of State Services to make petrol available for Nigerians, the situation has remained the same in major parts of the country. Now, the country's secret police, had on Thursday given the NNPCL Limited and other stakeholders in the downstream sector 48 hours ultimatum to put an end to the lingering fuel scarcity across the country. Well, I still have with me via Zoom retired Assistant Director of Department State Services, Dennis Amakri, and still in the studio with me, I have lawyer and public affairs analyst, Justice Ojieno. So let me come back to you now, Dennis Amakri. Well, we understand fuel scarcity still persists in major parts of the country, despite the DSS given an ultimatum. But tell us, what do you think is really responsible for this recurring scarcity?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, it is not very usual for the DSS to come out and give an ultimatum like this. But for them to come out, it tells you that they are going ahead to, carry out their national responsibility, because the DSS actually is created to deal with insecurities that affect the nation. Any threat to national security will be addressed by that agency. And I think that's what they've come out to do. For them to ask the NNPC to make sure that fuel start to flow within 48 hours, I think it must be a situation where they must have got some kind of intelligence telling them about sabotage agents who are trying to sabotage the fuel situation. Remember, this election year, they're running into the election months, and there are many people who want to make sure that there is chaos. And I think the SSS is right on the button when they say that they should, people who are in an NNPC or wherever they are, to make sure that fuel flows. Because we've talked about fuel theft, and now we're talking about, people hoarding fuel, and for whatever purpose that will be, I think the DSS will be on top of that.
But, people have been discussing about this now. Let's talk to you now, Justice. People have been discussing about this, saying that the DSS shouldn't interfere in fuel issues. But we've heard the point of Dennis Amakri on why he thinks that the DSS have taken such a stand. But where do you stand, if I were to ask you?
Okay, I will respectfully disagree with him. I think that the DSS as a body is a body that ought not to really be seen or ought to really be heard, especially the way they came about this. They practically came and gave a direct threat to members of a particular association. I don't think it is justifiable in a reasonably democratic society. I think they are really, really pushing the frontiers of what they are, whether constitution, I don't even think they have constitutional powers, whether legislative powers are. And one major section or subsection that they usually rely on is section 2 sub 3A of the National Security Agency Act, which gives them the power to prevent or detect crime in the country. I think that cases, especially like Olisagbakoba and Director of State Services, have made it very, very clear that they don't have this kind of powers. They are really, really pushing beyond. If there is an issue of economic sabotage, maybe an EFCC would have been a better organization to do it, because even the EFCC is called Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, not the DSS. The DSS could have done it more tacitly, more undergroundly, but not this way. Because if we leave the DSS, a body with such an awesome power to be able to run amok this way, what stops them from threatening ASU to stop their strike? What stops them from threatening any other association that is lawfully constituted pursuant to Section 40 of our Constitution to be able to carry out their aims and objectives? So if an EFCC cannot do it, maybe an ICPC can do it if there is government collusion. So there should be, the DSS should not be heard. The DSS should not be used to do this and do that and do this and do that. They should be more in the background. They should inform other agencies to be able to do the work. Because if that is not done, we are going for chaos.
All right, Dennis, you have a point trying to make. Final thoughts on this.
Hello, are you referring to me?
Yes, I'm asking you final thoughts on what do you think is your last solution to this
okay,
crisis?
thank you very much. Well, you know, many people will not understand this because it's not a legislative issue. It's an issue of creation. The DSS is created to deal with all threats that affect national security. And then it is not an EFCC, it's not an economic crime, it's not an economic sabotage. It is a sabotage to national security. There is nobody involved. Somebody just wants to cause confusion and then, of course, mayhem in the country by withholding the fuel line or the fuel supply in this country. And I think the DSS is well placed to address it.
All right, and that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you very much.